Hi, my name is Pastor Hal York, and welcome to Truth in the Trenches. Today we're going to be in Proverbs chapter 22, verse 13. The sluggard says, "There's a lion outside. I will be killed in the streets." The sluggard or the lazy person is a master of coming up with excuses. Just when you thought you've heard them all, they will surprise you with a new one. Filled with excuses. Excuses for not going to work, excuses for being late, excuses for not following up on a task they were assigned to do, excuses for a lack of commitment, excuses for being irresponsible, excuses for missing opportunities, and on we could go. They have excuses for everything. But the problem is they really believe their excuses are valid. They're self-deceived. What they don't seem to realize is that everyone could come up with a valid excuse for not doing something they don't want to do. We've all had the aches and pains of getting out of bed after a long day's work. We could think, well, the roads are filled with dangerous drivers. I don't feel good. I might be coming down with something. And on we could go, thinking of reasons to avoid work and responsibility. If everybody stayed home who had an excuse for staying home, what they thought was a valid excuse, or didn't feel like going to work, precious little would get done in this world. But the sluggard doesn't think like that. They think they're the only people in the world who have an excuse for staying home. The difference between the sluggard and the person who goes to work is not one has an excuse and the other doesn't. It's that one realizes that being responsible and dependable and a good employee means you cannot be ruled by your feelings and your fears. You have to force yourself to get out of bed. Proverbs says, as the door turns on its hinges, so does a sluggard on his bed. How long will you lie down, O sluggard? When will you arise from your sleep? The sluggard is wise in his own eyes. The sluggard imagines the worst case scenario and then translates it into the worst possible outcome. A lion in the streets, I will be killed. But what's the real problem? The desire of the sluggard puts him to death, for his hands refuse to work. Are there really that many lions in the street? Are there really that many dogs who love to eat homework, as we used to hear growing up? Chances are the sluggard hasn't even gotten out of bed to even look on the street. He heard there was a lion in the street one time last year, and he's decided to play it safe. Just being prudent, he tells everyone. It's better safe than sorry. Meanwhile, everyone else is going to work, getting things done, earning a living. And he's home watching TV, playing video games with a smirk on his face, just imagining how wise he will be hailed to be when people start getting eaten by the lions in the street. But it's all a smokescreen for a lazy, selfish, proud heart who refuses to work. He wants somebody to take care of him. He thinks avoiding risk is a sign of wisdom, but in reality it's just another excuse for being lazy. It's a mask to hide the reality he doesn't want to work and exert himself. We take risks every time we get a step outside our house. Every time we drive a car, plug in a toaster, go up an elevator. If we avoided risk, we would all starve. We would all be broke, but it wouldn't matter because there wouldn't be anything to buy anyway. Because every time somebody does something, farming is a risk. There's risks in everything that we do. The bottom line is the sluggard is wrapped up in himself. People exist in his mind to take care of him, but he's not going to do anything to benefit anyone else. The sluggard is worthless. He is, in essence, accusing anyone who would force him to go to work as being guilty of murdering him, feeding him to the lions. He expects to be taken care of. He looks down his nose at people who don't want to take care of him, who think he should be working, who don't understand and don't believe his excuses. His excuses are absurd, but it underscores that no excuse is beyond the sluggard's creative but warped imagination. The chances of getting attacked by a lion in the city in the daytime are about the same as getting hit by lightning. The sluggard is far more apt to die from hunger than he is from a lion attack. But there's one important thing I think here as parents we can learn. As a parent, don't train your children to be excuse makers. We train them by accepting their excuses. They learn that excuses work, so they just keep dreaming up more of them. Parents, see through their excuses. Expect them to do their chores, even if they don't feel like it. Clean their rooms. Be responsible. Do their homework. Making excuses is a learned behavior, and it becomes a tool in the arsenal of the lazy person who refuses to work, and it will eventually be their downfall. Paul said to the Thessalonians, he that doesn't work shouldn't eat. There's no excuse for laziness. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can give a discreet answer. There's a lion outside, the sluggard says, I will be killed in the streets. The sluggard is an excuse maker. He's deceived, and the person he's deceived is himself. The Bible puts a premium on work, working hard, and we should be responsible people who understand that there are going to be days when we could all make excuses for being lazy, but we need to avoid those excuses and crawl out of bed and do what we do to the glory of God and the good of others.